Hey everyone, this is Renier here, and the game we're going to see now is was recently played by Ivan Salgado, Spanish Grandmaster 26, very young player. His rating is 26-23 against I-Smirin, the experienced Grandmaster and very strong Grandmasters, one of my favorite players from Israel. Okay. The game, they played the can variation of the Sicilian, something that we have seen before. Okay, now you know that wise responses are bishop d3, knight c3, or c4, but bishop d3 is probably the most, along with knight c3, is the most popular move. Now, okay, Smirin usually plays bishop c5, which is the main line, we can call it nowadays, is the main move in this position. Then after knight b3, usually Smirin plays bishop e7, but recently he has been playing bishop a7, and I thought we could analyze a little bit of this, and I'm going to present some of the critical lines in this position. Okay, now White played castle, which is a little bit is fine, but perhaps defines the position of the king too early. There are other lines that are considered more critical. For example, Halifman in his book recommends queen g4, then after knight f6, queen g3. This is considered the line to put the black system under question. Queen g7 is not possible, by the way, because after rook g8, queen a6, bishop takes on f2. White cannot take on f2 because of knight g4. So queen g3 is normal, d6, and now knight c3, knight c6, bishop g5, h6, bishop d2, and now it's interesting to play here. Well, let's see first what has been played and what Halifman book says. For example, knight h5. This is the famous game between Gatakamsky with the black pieces against Vallejo in the World Cup, something in 2005 or 2007. I don't remember very well, but it was something like this. Then after queen f3, queen h4, g3, knight e5, queen e2, queen g4, castle, and then after queen e2, bishop takes on e2, knight f6. This position is slightly better for white. Actually, black has some problems. After f4, knight c6. If knight g4, white simply plays bishop e1. He's attacking d6, defending f2, and then after king e7, rook d3, with the idea of knight d1 followed by h3, and black is in trouble here. There is also knight a5, knight c4. Even if you win the bishop pair with knight f2, it really doesn't help black's position. White is going to play bishop f3. Black will have some problems to develop the bishop from c8, so it's probably slightly better for white. Okay, then if after f4 simply knight c6, white plays bishop f3 with a normal position, slightly better for white again. He's going to play rook h e1. The problem is what rook h e1 and then bishop e3, white has more space. His position is pleasant. Alright, but okay, after queen f3, black can try moves like knight f6. Still, after this doesn't fully equalize, because after castle, knight e5, queen g3, knight takes on d3, queen takes on d3, and now to any move, white continues with bishop e3, and he has a slightly better position. For example, here black has played e5, and after bishop e3, which is not the move played in the game we're analyzing right now, I think white is clearly better. What you have here is some sort of a native position of the English attack. Without the dark square bishop, there is a weak pawn on d6. Maybe black will have to play king e7 at some point if he wants to play with the king in the center, bishop e6, queen c7, rook d8. But this looks, of course, even though I think it's playable for black, white's advantage is out of question. Alright, so what to do in this position? The only reasonable try here, I think, should be e5. This is the move. Then after e5, if black castles, then because the thing is that now knight h5 could always be a resource for white, for black I mean, in case that white plays f4 or something like that. So white probably should play knight d5, and after knight h5, queen f3, and people have made draws in this position by playing knight f6. The endgame after knight takes, queen takes on f6, g takes on f6 is very, very good for black. It has pressure on the king side, the bishop goes to e6, king on e7. So white can simply castle, and then after bishop e6, queen g3, black again can repeat moves with knight h5. If he doesn't want to repeat moves, then he can try king f8, but already risking a lot. Knight h5, queen f3, knight f6. Okay, so still there are not many games with this position, and this is a critical line. If white can prove an advantage here, then the whole line is good for white, because black doesn't have many choices here. I mean, queen d3, knight c6 is probably the best move, and after bishop g5, white's plan is straightforward. He wants to castle, then he will have some pressure on d6, f4, e5 coming, so a6 is logical, bishop d2, and now this is the critical position in which black must find a good plan. I think e5 is correct, and okay, still everything to be analyzed. Then after knight d5, knight h5, and bishop e6. Alright, let's return to our game. Castle, knight c6, queen g4, knight f6. Of course, white can play with c4, but this doesn't give black many problems. This is critical. Queen g4 is very critical. Then knight f6, queen takes on g7. Again, a very, very critical move. Instead, I think that if you don't really know the theory in this line, you can just play queen g3, which is equally full of problems for black. Now you must play with black very, very precise. Okay, d6, because e5 may be a threat already. Knight c3, and now b5. I consider this move to be the best, even though knight e5 has been played, and probably it's also okay, but I think it's a complete different story, because now white can play something like maybe bishop f4, or followed by bishop e2 may be an idea to continue with bishop f4 and rook d1 with some pressure on d6. So b5, I think this is the main move for black. Then after king h1, bishop b7, and again we have to look at the move queen takes g7 here. Okay, queen takes on g7, rook g8, queen h6, and here the position, there are a few games in which white won, but I think the most accurate move for black to continue to find his counterplay would be knight g4, which was played by Kovalev in 2008. This is a very good move. Now after queen takes on a7, rook f8. May look like black is a little bit slow, but the threat right now may be king d7 followed by rook h8, and there is some real attack on the king side. So black is doing fine, I think. White went queen g7, which is a major mistake in this position. He should have played f3, and still after knight f2, rook takes on f2, bishop takes. Now bishop h6, queen h4, e5. This is this has to be done to defend the queen on h7. After e5, the bishop on d3 is defending the queen on h7, so white can take the rook on f8. Knight takes, bishop takes on f8, queen takes, and this position, black is down a pawn, but he has full compensation for his pawn. He's gonna play rook c8, knight c4. He has the bishop pair, and after a move like knight a5, he simply goes bishop c8, followed by bishop b6 and bishop back to b7 with very good play. So as you can see, taking the pawn on g7 is most of the time a very risky choice. In the game that white went queen g7, after queen h4, black is already winning. Threatening mate, and after bishop f4, knight takes on f2, rook takes, bishop takes, knight e2, castle queenside, and after knight e2, which is the last mistake, rook g8, queen takes, queen g4, defending e6, threatening rook f8, threatening queen g2, so white resigns. Alright, so after bishop b7 in this position, white could play something like a3, normal move, or bishop e3. In general, doesn't give black many problems. And here, if you play something like castle, then after bishop g5 and f4, f5, white gets some strong attack. Because of the pressure on f6, the pin is rather uncomfortable. For example, if you play castle after bishop g5, it's not easy to break that pin. So I think black should try something like queen e7. Those who want to play more risky this position, they could try rook c8, or immediately h5, f4, h5, with the idea of knight g4. And okay, there are many tactical complications that could arise in this position. After f5, knight g4, f takes on e6, is a complete mess. But probably, okay, black has very good chances. But okay, after a3, something like queen e7 seems fine. The idea is after bishop e3, bishop takes, queen takes, and castle, black has no problems at all. f4, queen c7. This is a normal Sicilian without the darker square bishops. Knight e2, knight a5, knight takes, queen takes, and black is doing fine. Okay, let's go back to our game. After knight f6, Salgado played queen takes g7. Not necessarily bad move. I think it's critical again. Rook g8, queen h6, and now knight e5 with several threats on the king side. Black has pressure on f2. The queen on h6 may be attacked by some knight g4 at the right time. So now white has to play very accurate, and that move is bishop e2. And why bishop e2? Let's see alternatives. For example, after bishop g5, which looks logical, is very bad, because black plays rook g6, and after queen h4, he plays knight f3 check. Has to take h6, king h1, pawn takes g5, queen h3, and now e5, taking the square f4, and black is going to continue d6, king e7, and attack the king side. Knight c3, d6, queen h8, and this was played in a game by Nishboer with black against Holsk in the Bundesliga, and here black should have played rook g8, and after queen h6, bishop e6, knight d2, king e7, and he's almost winning. Rook g6 is coming, so he's almost winning here. Okay, so bishop g5 is a mistake. Instead, okay, knight c3 is possible, but again, after b5, black has good counterplay. He's planning to continue with bishop b7, so if bishop f4, so it's a bad move. Knight g4, queen h4, knight takes on f2, rook takes, and now rook g4, and again white is lost. He must defend the bishop on f4 now, so he has to play queen h6, and now with the move knight g8, the queen has no squares to defend that bishop on f4. After queen h7, bishop takes on f2, so everything comes with check. King e2, queen g5, g3, rook f6, black won. This is a game by two grandmasters, Adam Horvat from Hungary and Sava Valok, also from the same country. Okay, let's go back. So neither bishop f4, and again after b5, bishop g5 is not good because of the same idea. Rook g6, queen h4, knight f3 takes, and h6, f4, otherwise similar things happen. So f4, pawn takes on g5, and now okay, black has a very nice move, that is knight h5. White cannot take on h5 because of rook takes g5, king h1, rook takes g5, rook g1 is a strong threat now. So queen h3, queen f6, white will never be able to play f4, knight e2, queen h6. If you play f4 now, knight g3 should win. Rook g1, bishop takes on f2, and then it's all over. Rook f1, bishop b6. It's all over for white. His attack is not going anywhere. Alright, so because the problem is that after e5, black simply goes rook b8. Now he's threatening bishop b7, and after e takes on f6, knight takes on f6, the queen cannot take on f6 because of bishop b7 check. So alright, black is going to continue with king e7, and there isn't much more to play for. Okay, so bishop e2 I think is the only move for white, taking control over the squares g4 and f3, and now if knight takes on e4, obviously queen takes on a7. So okay, queen takes on a7, or maybe even queen f4 attacking both knights. That could be possible as well. Maybe even better. I'm not entirely sure. Alright, but queen takes on a7 also looks good. In the game, I-Smirin played a move that has been played before, that is d5. Looks logical, but I think it's not the best. Okay, I'm not really an expert on this line, but I have analyzed it a little bit, and we're going to see what problems the move I-Smirin played has. After bishop e2, I think the best for black should be something like knight g4. Then after bishop takes g4, rook g6 in between move. The idea is that after queen h3, knight takes on g4, and okay, at the moment there is some pressure on f2. Then if bishop e3, bishop b8, f4, knight takes, queen takes, bishop a7, knight d4, and e5. This was played by two grandmasters. After e5, black is winning. Or you can see that there was already a very suspicious play by white, because the idea is that when white takes on e5, queen g5, if white takes the queen, the bishop takes on d4 first, and then the rook takes the queen. And after king f2, d6, and this is it. Black is winning. here white resigns. Alright, so instead of queen h3, I think that white should try queen h4, and after rook takes on g4, queen h3. Now things are different. After rook takes on e4, white can play knight c3, and after rook g4, bishop e3, with a position that if white gets out of the danger zone, let's see, eliminating the bishop on a7, then the rook goes to d1, and he has some slightly better position in the center, especially because it's not easy to coordinate the black pieces. There are some weak squares and the dark squares, so I think this position may be a little critical, but I think black is only slightly worse, if anything. Okay, let's go back to the move d5. Okay, after d5, Salgado played bishop g5, and I think again is a suspicious move. Instead, we could see that there are two interesting options. For example, first knight c3, and after d takes on e4, then bishop g5. Now things are entirely different, because after a move like rook g6, queen h4, knight f3, white can just take with the bishop, and after pawn takes, rook d1, and he has, I think, maybe a winning position here, because knight e4 is coming. So knight f3, rook g6 and knight f3 doesn't work. Knight e to g4 is better, and then after queen h4, threatening to take on g4, h6, rook d1, queen e7, bishop c1, and again white has some advantage. For instance, he's taking on g4. Well, actually, maybe, yeah, I think he's taking on g4 and then taking on h6. Of course, there is a lot of danger. Perhaps black can try bishop d7 and queenside castle. That may be a good try, because e3, which looks at first sight dangerous, is not really strong. After f takes, bishop takes on e3, king h1, white gets exactly what he wants. He trades the dark square bishop, and his structure is a little better, and black still has to coordinate his pieces. There is pressure here on f6 and g4. At some point white is simply gonna take on g4 and trade this into a better position, I think. Okay, so instead of knight c3, also interesting is just to take on d5, and after queen takes on d5, defend the threat on g2 by queen h3. Now black has to this was played by Estonian Grandmaster Castellanos. So okay, the threat now is knight c3, so black should probably go queen e4, and after knight c3 take that pawn on c2, and still after bishop e3 white stands better. This is probably the critical line. It takes d5 and queen h3. The position is open, the threats slow down, and white will obviously be better because black's king in the center, the bishop on c8 and the rook on a8, they don't get into play very easily. So instead b5, for example, the move played in that game is not that good. After knight c3, queen c6, this is another mistake. Knight a5, white is clearly better, much better. Queen b6, b4, queen d4, rook b1, with simple moves. The problem is that you can see black pieces are not so easy to coordinate. Now after bishop d7, rook b3, rook c8, bishop e3, and Black had no choice but to take on c3, take on h3, bishop a7, take on b3, a takes, and now this is just very bad. White has two bishops, better pawn structure. Actually, he has an extra pawn at this point for nothing. Alright, so it takes d5 I consider critical in this position. And again, let's go back to what Salgado played. Salgado played bishop g5, and after knight e to g4, bishop takes on f6. This is already comfortable for black. Knight takes on f6. Knight c3 could be played in the same spirit as before, and after d takes e4, rook d1, bishop d7, king h1, rook g6, queen h4. But black is comfortable after queen c7. Two bishops, he's going to castle queen side, the other rook comes to e8 with good play. Position is complicated there. So it takes on d5, queen takes on d5. Now with the threat on g2, of course white cannot take on f6. g3 forced, and now the first new move of the game, queen e5. This is a novelty. After black was also doing very well after queen f5. Knight d2, knight g4, bishop takes, rook takes d4. Now black has two bishops for a pawn. That's usually very good compensation and good attacking chances on the king side. c3, bishop d7, knight d4, and the players agreed to a draw here. But of course black is doing fine after bishop takes d4, followed by bishop c6. Black is doing very, very well. Okay, so queen e5, first new move of the game, knight c3, bishop d7, bishop f3, castle. And now here comes a decisive mistake on move 18. White played the natural looking rook a d1. The only possible move was queen h3, and after king b8 we can say that black has compensation for the pawn. I mean, it's very difficult to lose. Even in an endgame, the two bishops will easily put a decent fight against the white's material advantage. Queen h4 was also possible, but again after queen f5, queen c4, king b8, black is doing very well. I mean, queen d3 is possible, forcing the trade of queens because of queen d6 is a little bit annoying. But anyway, after h5 is pleasant for black. He's going to play h4. The attack is not over yet. He has this d3 pawn also to attack. So in no way black is in any trouble. But Salgado played rook a1, natural looking move, and he missed a winning move for black, spectacular rook takes g3. That's what I-Smirin played, very nice. Forced to take, queen takes on g3, bishop g2, rook g8. Now the only move, okay, the threat is bishop c6. The same time, of course, queen takes on g2, so white was forced to play queen h2, and okay, I have to say the game is already over here. Bishop c6, the same would go for queen h1. Doesn't make any, well, it makes differences. Queen h1 is worse because it doesn't trade queens. So queen h2, bishop c6, queen takes on g3, rook takes g3. White cannot save the bishop on g2. For example, after knight a5, black will simply take with the bishop, and after king h2, rook g6, and again he wins because he's taking on f2. He's also playing bishop f3 after rook f, and also playing bishop b8. For example, if white plays now rook g1, he wins, mate in 1, bishop b8 check, checkmate. and if he plays rook e1, then bishop f3 with the same threats. Rook bishop b8, rook a6, mate. Okay, so let's go back. There is really no defense. Knight d5 is the only possible move, and after bishop d5, rook takes d5, knight takes d5. Black has an extra pawn and also a much better position on both sides. King h1, rook g5, knight d2. It was better to play bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, and play this worst endgame, but against at such level there isn't really much hope here. I mean, superior bishop to the knight, extra pawn. Still, it was better than was played in the game, because by keeping the knight you keep also another attacking piece. After knight d2, that's exactly what happened. Knight f4, bishop f3, f5, knight c4, knight h3, attacking f2, knight d6, king c7, b7 is not important, knight takes on f2, king h2, e5, now e4 is coming very strong, knight a5, e4, bishop e2, and f4, attacking the knight on a5 and also threatening f3 and rook g2, mate. Okay, so definitely this is a line for those who play the Sicilian can like me to have a look at. I-Smirin is playing it, and okay, the critical line is that what I mentioned before: knight c3, queen g4 without castle, and e5. And okay, I think e5 is the best move. You can see that all the dangers that white could have if he doesn't play it safe, like I say. Okay, everyone, this is it for today, and thanks for watching.